Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Distinguished guests, very good morning. Today we've been hearing a lot of buzzwords: data center, infrastructure, big data, AI, microservices. In my slides, I'm going to simplify all of these in a very short manner. With the first, I would like to introduce with the profile of Oman Data Park and what we're doing. We are in the cloud business for the last 10 years. We have 650 customers on board, 1,500 microservices. Today we've been talking about microservices. We do have microservices already on board, aside of AI platforms, which is for machine learning and deep learning. Okay, till the Zoom comes up, the slides. Let me touch, today there was a lot of challenges about the prices. Let me try to simplify this. The audience was very happy to see the AWS, Amazon. I'm using AWS for the last 5 years. I'm using Azure, and I'm using Google GCP, all of them. And by the way, I'm using it because I have to compare my prices versus international. They are the leaders. And how we can simplify this. Number one, if you're happy with the Azure, you're most welcome to use Oman Data Park Azure services. We have Azure, by the way, on board. But remember one thing, Azure, GCP, and AWS are self-service. It's a self-service technology. You have to spin out your network. You have to spin out your firewalling. You have to spin out your application. You have to do data protection. You have to do policy of the security. You have to do the entire disaster recovery and business continuity. All of these have to be done by yourself. So when you need to do it, you need a very sophisticated, dedicated people, skilled. There's a lot of certification, AWS, Azure, and GCP. So not less than 5-6 people you need to source it yourself in order to bring up these prices down. Versus when ODP and Acropolis and D2C and other cloud provider in Oman, they helping the managed services. They doing it on your behind. Therefore, 20 to 30% you see expensive because they are managed. You're not doing it. You just come and you enjoy the service. We do for you the spinning out your VMs. We do the security. We do data protection. We do your complete, SIM security. Let's say SIM, for example, vulnerability assistance. Endpoint protection, backup, disaster recovery. This is all is being done by cloud provider one. So there's no, the comparison was wrong. This is the first one. Is it okay now? Right, let me just introduce quickly about Oman Data Park profile. As I said, we have started since 2012. It's not working. Right, we have 3 data centers across Oman. We have 1.2 megawatt power of 350 racks hosted in Qom. As I said, there are 1,500 customers enjoying different kind of flavor and securities and workload of the cloud. We have the second one is in Wataya. It's also interlinked with the fiber. And third one is the Duqm. So the choice is to the customer whether they would like to put their primary workload in the Qom, secondary in Duqm, or in Duqm versus Wataya, choice of the customer. This slide is very important. See, how I can transform into the cloud. Today I always try to simplify it into 4 layers. The first one is the data center, colo. They're calling it co-location. When you have your own data center, you have all electrical and mechanical managed by yourself. So you have generator, UPSs, batteries, switchgear, bus bar, tab of boxes, PDUs, and then you have your mechanical, the cooling. You have to control the cooling. The data center technology is why it's expensive, because there's a measurement comes from the best standards called PUE, power utilization effectiveness. The cost of cooling is 60% of the operation cost of your data center. So imagine if you have your own data center, The cost is too high to capitalize on operating that data center. Therefore, aside of electrical and mechanical, your surveillance, your fire suppression, and so on. So operating data center is too expensive. Therefore, when you come to cloud provider, hosting, and they immediately get the rack and you start hosting your equipment, there's a cost cutting 30% and above. This is not theoretical, this is a practical number. So when you jumped as a colo, you're still buying your infrastructure component, computer storage and network yourself. You managing it, you controlling, you license it, you have your own resources. When you jump to the infrastructure, so first layer is the colo, which is data center. Then you move forward, you say, why I should buy this equipment? I want elastic model. Today they were saying elastic model. I can upscale my resources or downscale. Computing and power and networking, storage and firewall, all of this I need to do it on demand. So therefore, when you come infrastructure as service, you're not buying this equipment, you're leasing it. And guess what's happening here? The license is completely revoked from you. When you come as a platform, you need now, you got the workload. I want 100 VMs with different specification. Now I need to spin out my platform, which is our operating systems. In this context is Windows, Linux, Unix. And here, when you're spinning out, there's also a license cost. But when you come platform as a service, it's a SPLA. SPLA means you're not buying a perpetual license. Remember, if you, for example, buy Windows 2000 and let's say 19 servers, then you're buying it perpetually. When Windows 2020 comes or 2021 comes, you have to repurchase it again. In the platform as a service, you don't do this. You're leasing it. Any new technology comes, you're immediately enabled for. So therefore, why Microsoft 365 is there? You're not buying a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement at all. Perhaps you're using 365. And here, you pay for what you use. So you are capitalizing based on your usage. When you come software as a service, this is the last layer. So I said colo, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. When you come software as a service, there are potential of opportunities and business developments going on there. Why? Because you're not buying anything. Everything is at your fingertip. There's a lot of marketplace there. You can spin out the application you need. For example, I need mail. Just spin out number of users of the mail you want and use it immediately. You want database as a service, you spin out database and immediately start using. You want web server, and here the cost is completely hidden. What's mean hidden? You don't see it. You pay only on the workload which you use, a number of users you are concurrently using. And here even the licenses and the data protection is completely with the cloud provider. Next slide, please. Now, see, we in Oman Data Park, we providing all of these layers. And today they were talking about microservices. I'll touch about microservices. We have now already launched it. We have a groundbreaking technology from the NVIDIA, which is machine learning, deep learning machines. This machine is giving the power of 10 petaflops. It's already there. Each 2 petaflops is equal to 1 mainframe. So we have right now a power of 5 mainframes in clustered. If you want to add, we can add it in the coming years. So what this will give us, number 1, is powered by NVIDIA. Number 2 is platform is supported from Canonical, which is the Linux environment. Number 3 is a microservices environment. So for example, if you want to do any machine learning, deep learning, heavy processing, it's a scalable. And by the way, we're talking here of a high GPUs environment and TPU, which is graphical processing unit and TensorFlow processing units. And we have an AI framework completely embedded with this solution. So this environment is meant for big data. And today we've been talking a lot about big data. So Hadoops, you're most welcome to use the Hadoops on our platforms. And by the way, when you're talking big data, you have to be very much focusing on relational databases, non-relational database environment. And especially with these days, IoT is the key to encourage your data's growth. So I will show you in the coming slide how you can also utilize that one. This platform is giving you a complete freedom to do predict analysis. And by the way, I'm presenting this slide because we're cooking this for all the verticals: oil and gas, telecom, banking, insurance, healthcare, education sectors. We're doing this for all of these. Now, my understanding was today is particularly for the energy sector. So therefore, the slides was being made only for the energy sectors. See, when you're coming to again, back to the data center, you are very much focusing how I should focus on the PUE, because how I can reduce the cost. The major cost of the running the data center is the electricity. So therefore, we are looking zero carbonized environment right now. We are building our new data center, and we're putting into our mind the cellular system as well. So we're looking zero carbonized environment because I must reduce my PUE. And I needed availability 24/7 across Oman. By the way, we're also trying to foot-fit ourselves across GCC. There are a lot of Qualcomms across the GCC to host their disaster recovery center with us. The reliability, the security, and sustainability. This has already been touched today. Oh, sorry. Now, as I said, each layer from the data center perspective to the infrastructure layer, to the platform layer, and microservices. What is the microservices? See, microservices came against the monolithic environment of application. I came from the banking, by the way. I was 3 decades in the bank, and then in 2012, I started into the cloud business. First question came when I was in Las Vegas: why I should go for cloud? It was 2012, I was in the bank that minute. Why I should go into such an environment, and it's a break into my policies and my standards and my data protection. Down the road, after 5 years, I realized this is must, is going to come. We like it or we don't like it. The way smartphone came and touched everybody, the cloud is going to touch everybody. I do remember when I implemented VMware, it was in 2003 in the bank. I got a very strong call from the Central Bank of Oman. Are you crazy? Are you putting your environment into virtualized environment? I told him this is going to come a de facto, and it happened already. Now the entire world's running on virtualization. Now it's a serverless computing, which is microservice and container. So therefore, we are already live with the Kubernetes as a service and OpenShift as well. We have Docker, but we are encouraging customers to use Kubernetes and Docker. So Kubernetes and OpenShift. We have one of the big telecom company enjoying from our CAS environment. So microservices, why is there? Because it's breaking your monolithic environment into macro applications, interlinked. It's running in a very high speed communication in order to simplify your application. By the way, there's no virtual machine here. What you need is just to spin out your application. Remember, suppose, let me give you an example. If I have 10,000 users accessing my website, over a peak time, it's jumped to 20,000, 30,000. What will happen in microservices? The workload dramatically will increase and decrease. So these services now, cutting completely the cost of virtualization. There's no licenses here for virtualization. Therefore, the cost reduction, which is happening in microservice, is tremendous, which is coming over the coming years, hopefully. Right now, it's in live. I do see one of our customers is using 1,200 containers versus 1,200 VMs. Imagine how big is the cost and the cost of the licenses. Now let's touch the AI. Mainly, this is a very important point. What is AI? We've been talking a lot of AI. Now, thanks, Dr. Salim have been highlighting that this is from 1950s, it's been coined. Yes, 1956, AI has been coined. What was the purpose? To mimic the human. We have eyes, computer should see also, computer should have eyes. We have brains, computer should have brains. We have hands, computer should have hands. We sense, computer should sense. We learn, computers should learn. So therefore, the purpose, theoretical, was how we can mimic human. But why didn't come up? Why didn't come up from 1950s? By the way, big data was not there at that moment. So don't mix between big data and IoT and AI. It's completely different. Though they're interlinked, but they're completely different. AIs came from a long time back. But because the data was not enough, the computing power was not enough, the telecommunication was not enough, therefore it didn't boom up. Now with the last decade, all of these came up. We have CPUs, tremendous acceleration CPUs, GPUs, TPUs, APUs, DPUs, all of these are already been coming up. With the growth of the telecommunication to the 5G, therefore the data has been injected in a very high speed right now over the internet. Therefore, machine learning and deep learning are here. Can you touch the slides, please? No, the previous one. Right, so here now let's talk about the more computational power. Now CPU, there are like, Intel, AMD, ARM, NVIDIA, all are our microprocessors manufacturer. Now they start enhancing this power. So the CPUs couldn't adhere the processing power of such a big data. Therefore HPC came in, high performance computing. Now what happened, they have broken it down. When they said GPU, graphical processing, you need to do a lot of rendering. So when you do rendering, CPUs takes maybe, let's say 15 hours. If you do it in GPU today, it's less than 15 seconds. So the GPU power start increasing. Now they have broken it down to TPU, TensorFlow Processing Unit, and DPUs, Data Processing Unit. APU is Acceleration Processing Unit. All of the processing, CPU has been encouraging, going fast. Data growth goes very fast, especially with the IoT. Now AI is nothing but accept the algorithm, smart algorithm. There's a lot of smart algorithms coming. Therefore, what we see today in AI, we see cognitive systems, expert system, knowledge base, machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, computer vision. So, for example, now I'm talking to you in English. Suppose I turn talking in Arabic. I guess some of the audience will not understand. There is an application right now, while I'm speaking in Arabic or any language, it translates it immediately into your favorite language. This is machine learning. Application sitting in natural language processing, translating in real time. We have also cognitive systems. I think all of you using the Google search, right? Sometimes you're typing this half of the sentence and it's completing the complete phrase for you. How he knows? How he knows? Because a billion users are already putting this kind of search and intelligence this. Therefore, he's doing all of this for you. Now here, no, please go back. Don't rush. So expert systems. What is the expert systems? Expert systems comes when you're feeding a lot of information, expert does the decisions for you. He knows. For example, let me give you an example. Let's say I have taken a card of my wife and I went on the ATM and I put it in the ATM and I withdrawn the cash. ATM will take my face recognition, immediately will know this card is not belonging to me. In real time will alert the security. Though the PIN was correct. This is coming, see, I'm not saying it from theory, it's already there. So how he sensed that? Because he have in the background my face, and immediately face recognition, facial recognitions have been recognized, this card is not belonging to me. And immediately will go and alert my wife and the security. And there are special cases for each sectors, okay, of these technologies, which I said is coming already. We have the groundbreaking technology has already been footed, is up and running now. We're building business cases for oil and gas, telecom, banking, and insurance, healthcare. We are focusing mainly on energy at the beginning and healthcare. And banking also is on the road. So, question comes. Is machine learning and deep learning are same? No, they are not. Both of them are a subset of AI. Yes, deep learning is a subset of machine learning. What is the difference? Let me simplify it. Machine learning, you're feeding the data to computer learns. Let me give you an example. If I show you a picture and I tell you, what do you see in this picture? You will see different objects, human, dogs, cats, chair, right? And you can start recognizing this. What if I give the same picture to computer? Will he recognize what are the content of these objects? Yes. This is machine learning. Start learning. So what is deep learning? Deep learning is kind of cognitive processing. See, we have a human, we have a neural network, neural cells, billions in our mind, interconnected. So if I give you any picture, from where you know what is in this picture? There's a neural processing happening interlinked with this, a billion of networks. Now, the same is being applied into the deep learning. Deep learning is a process likewise the neural network. It takes the picture and it's not just learning itself, but it is processing and it's taking the decision as well. For example, Tesla car driving. Now I think it's more simplified. In Tesla, there's a computer vision. Computer sees the road, right? There's a GPS integration because you have to know the roads, right? There's a self-driving, it's automatic driving, where the machine learning is there. And sometimes you talk to the machine of the computers, which is inside the car, go to this place, come to this place, and it's talking. This is natural language processing. So all of these integrated together. Now, some of data mining algorithm, I put it on the ground. This is not all of them. They are the smart ones. The most important for me, before you select any of these algorithms for processing, you should know your problem statement. Like, why I should know about it. Suppose you go to the pharmacy without knowing what is your problem or your pain. So you're almost like in the pharmacy and millions of medicines in front of you. Which one you will select? You have headache? Then you have to take the headache tablet, right? If you have cough, take about the cough. Now here, before you're going into data mining, you should select what is your problem statement, what you're trying to achieve. Today's session, I would like to emphasize about this, and the pricing, I'll come about that. But most important here, before you put into data mining, without knowing what is the problem statement, you are like driving on the road, you don't know what is your target, where you want to stay. Right. So let's talk about some of the AI use cases. Forgive me, I was thinking today is only energy. These are some of the use cases only for energy. So the AI comes for all of these verticals: healthcare, insurance, banking, smart cities, retail, okay? So this is not only particularly is going to cover for energy, but all of these zones and domains. So now, for example, I'm not of course, I'm an IT guy. I'm not expert into the oil and gas. But what we do see, this is the primarily focus with which we go and try to help these platforms in order for the oil and gas. By the way, this slide is not from me. This is from application vendor which is already built NVIDIA solution for oil and gas. It's up and running. And there are big customers as well. So, for example, in the production, fossil testing, and production, maintenance, pipeline reductions, all of these. So right now, we're focusing these parts of the oil and gas in order to reduce the operations cost. There's another one, damage detection, especially like if you bring the containers on site, immediately scans and see what is this container contains of, whether it is damaged or not, in real time, because here is a very high performance. Another one is, by the way, is OCR also there, injected, which is optical character recognition. They immediately scan and information is fed to the back-end systems. Next, please. Safety and compliance. See, the cameras which has been set, It's a real-time monitoring your staff, the helmet, for example, gloves, and make sure all of these security and compliance are in the place. If anyone removes this hat, for example, immediately we'll inform the security guys. Next. Infrastructure, of course, inspection with the drones, and it goes immediately and try to detect where is the damage and try to immediately inform. By the way, this is no human here. It's all robotic. It's all robotic. As I said, post-use test. I'm very much focused about the 1,000 times faster and human. Imagine this one. This is not from me. This is from NVIDIA. They're saying they have proved it is 1,000 times faster and accurate more in the post-use test versus human. Again, please. Intelligent automation. See, right now, if the application is being set around and integration between application for automation of processes is a key, the integration within the AI is a seamless. You see, AI doesn't come with the coding. There's no development and application development in the AI. Everything is set on the data level. It's just data and a smart algorithm. So it is being used also for intelligence and application processing. As I said, big data. Now you can stage it mainly for Hadoops. But before you do so, remember, big data needs a lot of data to be staged. So perhaps each enterprise has a lot of silos of the data application. You might have 15, 16 applications. Each application has its own different data sets. So what you need to do, you need to abstract this information into the Hadoops and then start to processing it. Also, one of the very important point, Hadoops can be integrated also with the social media, by the way, in real time. You can do a lot of AI analytics over AI with social media, such as Facebooks, Instagrams, and WhatsApp as well. So this is a very good model even for the banking to see. I was talking to one of the banker. He said nowadays 40% of our business comes on social media. Life is changing. So they are not touching this. They are monitoring it manually. So imagine what they can monitor. One man can, how far he can monitor about this. Conclusion. See. Please. See, the ecosystem of AI is growing. The development of AI is growing. Everything comes on the data and the smart algorithm. Data center technology. The data center technology, for example, how are we going to stage the AI? If you ask me this question. You know, if I'm injecting the cooling all the time 24/7, I don't know whether this needs to run the whole crack unit, like the cooling unit together all 24/7, or a certain time when the workload increase, the heat increase. Imagine, like you are in this room, if there's a 30 ACs, air conditions here, do we need to run 30s all the time? Maybe there are 20 audiences, so you might start 2. If you have 200 audiences, you must start 30. So this is going to come up now. The cooling will go up and down based on demand, and this will dramatically give a value of reducing the cost, and ultimately will reflect to the customers. Also, if you have a lot of data and you don't know how to use it, then you are losing. Your data is your asset, is your oil, has been said today, and you have to generate information. There's a big difference between data and information. You have to generate information, you have to generate opportunities for upselling, cross-selling, at least reduce your cost, operating cost. So AI is there to help you on that. Now, lastly, I would like to touch on the cloud model. See, when we're talking, I think cloud is a transformation happening. We as in Oman cloud providers, we're helping you from A to Z. We're not just telling you, here is your what's called scope, what you needed, and this is the colo location, come stage your racks and that's it. No, 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 no. We sit with you, we look your workload, we examine your problems. I do see myself, I've transformed hundreds and hundreds of organizations into cloud. 90% of the problem comes, they are outdated technology. Windows 2012, CentOS Linux, databases almost, so old version, there are no support. So what we do here, we sit with them, we migrate their strategies. We helping them into the transformation from the designing perspective into implementation and finally the manage. Remember, today's comparison of the prices was unfair, doctor, because they missed one very important point. It's a managed services. If you are comparing with the Azure, you most welcome to use Oman Data Park Azure. We notice people are going to Azure coming back because the skill sets which is required to operate the Azure and AWS and GCP is a very high cost, very professional people, you need to do that. But when you come to at least I'm talking about Oman Data Park, when you come there, we do for you all of this. We run your security. We migrate your workload. We do patching, we do backup, we do data protection, we help you in your disaster recovery and business continuity. 2019 and 20, a lot of transformation was happening for disaster recovery at the beginning. When pandemic happens, let me give you this example and I'll end it. When pandemic happens, big customers such as banks, they knock the door or staff have been locked. And one of them is Royal Oman Hospital. They said, Hassan, can you help us with this? Our doctor's been locked, patient cannot access, and doctors have to reach them. We gave them in less than a week, workspace as a service. Doctors talking to the patient through the phone, and he's investigating his case and giving him the prescription. Likewise, banks. So what is the message today? We are a cloud provider, that is right. But you should not compare us with the public providers because we sit with you one-to-one and we help you in your transformation journey. I hope that was informative. I don't want to take more than that time. The subject is so extensive, but I'd like to shortcut it with a couple of slides. Thank you very much. If you have any question, I'm available.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan Abdul Ali, for that very informative presentation on the roadmap for AI transformation.